Hello and welcome to the Euro What, episode number 77 for the week of February 17th, 2020. I'm Mike McComb, and I'm joined today by Ben Smith. Hey, Ben.
Hey, Mike.
We are a pair of Americans trying to make sense of the Eurovision Song Contest. And this week, we'll be talking about why online voting is a sham.
It is a scam. It's a fraud. I'm just so much residual anger, and I don't know if that was a holiday weekend here. But it was a mess, wasn't it?
Such mess, such glorious mess. And much like with NRK, totally unforeseeable, even though it was completely foreseeable. Ay.
Just absolutely things you should have backup plans for, and backup plans to the backup plans.
But we will get into that shortly.
We'll get there later.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking when we were putting the episode together, it's like, should we do this chronologically or in order of what will get us riled up? But then I looked at it and it's like, oh, it's the same order. So
it's the exact same order. Same thing.
Oh, yeah. So it was a not quite as super, but still pretty crowded Saturday.
Still a very busy Saturday. I think I had the first time I was double screening things just because things were happening live in a way that where it would not be immediately recorded afterwards for me to go back. So that was fun.
Once you learn how to do all of the tab swapping and getting it on your phone and then on your Chromecast, yeah, it really becomes very mad scientist-y. So I have friends, I promise. First chronologically, roughly, was Armenia. They brought back Depi Evratesil, which was their national final selection process. And yeah, after just a single round of performances, the winner of that process was Athena Manoukian with the song Chains on You.
You, boy. I'm yours, only yours, and of course hurt me. Chains on you. I'ma put them boy chains on you. Chains on you. I'ma put them boy chains on you. Got it.
And Athena is a Greek-Armenian singer. She attempted to represent Greece in Junior Eurovision 2008, placed 7th in that contest. Since then, she won the 2015 Armenian Pulse Award for Best English Song for her track XO. And yeah, just kind of plugging away at the music industry. And her performance was really well received by the Armenian jury. She got 12s from 9 out of the 10 jury members. Televote, not as decisive. She came in third, about 2,700 votes behind Vladimir Arzumanyan. Ben, did you get a chance to listen to the song or watch the performance?
I did. I've watched it a couple times now. I like that we're getting kind of a trap pop influence at Eurovision this year, just from listening to this. The song itself feels kind of basic. I don't know, it doesn't stick with me.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of the sort of spoken parts in Ariana Grande's Seven Rings.
Okay.
Yeah, just in terms of the self-call and response structure of it, if that makes sense. But it was kind of a weird national final selection thing. A lot of the songs were very meandering and just kind of started and then stopped. This was one of the few performances that had a clear stage idea and seemed more pop oriented, but yeah, I kind of agree that it felt very basic in its initial presentation.
It's really repetitive.
Yes,
it has 3 different phases of the song, and it cycles through them a few times each, and then it's done. Right,
and I don't think it was helped by the really weird sound mix. I'm not.
Yeah.
That was a problem across the board for the performances, where everything just felt very thin, and it's just everything's going to get swallowed up in an arena. And hopefully that's something that'll just be fixed with the sound mix in the arena, and hopefully better staging or a fuller staging concept.
Fuller staging is,
Yeah, but I don't think this is a bad choice for Armenia. It's different from what they sent last year, which I thought was a good performance, but it didn't seem to resonate with the audience. Do you think this is something that's going to resonate a little bit better?
I have no clue, because like trap pop tends to be outside my normal listening range, although it's doing decently on the charts in the United States.
Yeah.
I don't know how that translates globally. So like this could be perfectly of the moment in the right spot, and I think the fact that it's in semifinal 2, which is a little less stacked, is probably in its favor for getting to the final.
Yes.
It just doesn't grab me like some of the other stuff that's been released so far has.
Okay. Yeah. And I mean, I guess it is still early. I'd kind of like to hear what it sounds like live in a different context, like maybe Eurovision in concert, and see how that performance works, particularly if it's not relying so much on the like dancers and the throne and like the staging aspect of it, just like singing it as a song. I'm glad that Armenia brought back some form of public selection to their process, because I missed that last year. So
I think they tried an internal selection that didn't work. So okay, let's go back to the public selection and see if that helps turn things around.
Yeah.
Speaking of switching up your selection process a little bit and getting better results, hopefully, Lithuania had the final, and it's been super exciting to just see everybody seemingly get super into the Lithuanian process this year. And I like, even personally, just going from someone who's like, haha, it's a marathon, it's 16 weeks, and they pick like the blandest thing. Like this year, they had such a great lineup for the final.
I'm having a difficult time thinking of another final where I was this excited about not just about the final itself, but just like the individual components in the final. Like it really felt like a journey for all of these people. It's like, oh, I'm so glad that everybody seems to have a cheering section behind them. And like this was such a satisfying conclusion to such a satisfying process.
Yeah, it was satisfying is the correct word. It was also kind of super exciting to see people continuing to kind of push their staging ideas and see, okay, this worked last time, this didn't work last time. I think there are a few things that kind of changed things a little bit too much at the end. Like, I think that had Kyra just gone back to the pink jumpsuits, there was like one too many ideas going on in like the final version of Alligator.
I can see that. Yeah, I mean, I did miss the choreography from it, where like doing the complicated standing up maneuver where it's like leaning back to on the feet of the one dancer and grabbing the hand of the other dancer. Like I thought that was just a really well executed move in the semifinals, but I can also understand needing to change it up since it was a bigger venue. And
it was a bigger venue, yeah, and seeing how the various acts kind of worked with that was nice. Like it was just nice to see the confidence from everybody in these songs. Truly. So the winner by a landslide was The Roop and On Fire.
The heat is getting higher. I feel that I'm on fire. The world is my desire. I feel that I'm on
fire. In the televote portion of things, 34,585 votes went to The Roop. Everybody else cumulatively got 26,075. The Roop got 57% of the vote.
That is so crazy.
That total is the largest number of televotes received by a single act in the Lithuanian national selection since 2006.
Whoa. Wait, was that the same year as the We Are the Winners of Eurovision?
I do not know.
Oh, I think I'm going to look that up. I think that might be the case. And if so, that is a fantastic legacy to maintain.
Yeah, that's just great. And then, so one thing that I know you were kind of joking about on Twitter back when we thought that the jury just had it in the bag for Aiste was, oh, great, there's more jury. But no, like they won an expanded jury easily. And I was so shocked to see that when like the numbers came up at the end.
I was too. The overall standings I felt were correct. Like, I mean, yes. I'm glad that the Roop won. I think they are legitimate contenders here. Monique finished second in the jury in the televote, and it's like, okay, good. Like, because she was one of the early ones that I thought, oh, this one has bones. And let's see, Monica Maria finished third with the overall and third with the jury, fourth with the televote. And then
which I thought that was very solidly done as well. I would have been pleased with that. Coming in at the end and winning.
Yeah, and then I was delightfully surprised to see that Rudaloop took fourth place.
Agreed.
Yeah, came in fourth with the jury and tied with Ice Day for fifth in the televote. And I was very surprised that Drip ended up beating Unbreakable by a single point with the jury.
That just felt so correct.
And then the other part of the final that I really enjoyed, the postcards leading into the performances were so well done. Like, everybody got to really show off their personalities, and the concept behind the postcards was it was each of the acts getting ready to go onto the stage. And yeah, I think everybody had like creative control over how they wanted to present that. And yeah, just it was very consistent with each person's brand, and I really appreciated that. So
I really like those as well.
Excellent job, Lithuania. Very excited to see what happens in Rotterdam for them. Like
Pabandom was now.
Yeah. Yeah, in terms of processes that went off the rails so spectacularly, Norway, what wow. Norway had their Melodi Grand Prix, like grand final. The 10 acts that advanced from the semifinals and from the auto selection all performed in the live show. And it looked like it was a pretty cool live show. I mean, it was like huge stadium, giant audience, and like expanded stage.
Yeah, one thing that I liked about this is that it felt like a lot of the staging issues we had noted with things along the way had gotten resolved, or at least maybe it was just like a bigger space where people started rethinking things, because I thought in particular Diedrich and Emil.
Yes.
That was a much improved performance of that. It still kind of felt like the memorial concert for the third member of their boy band. Like something like the entire time during that song, I'm like, this needs a third brother.
Yes. Yeah, I think that was it. Where it's just like, it felt more like a boy band song than a duo.
It got better now that they removed like the identical suits and the children for some reason. It still needed like a third brother.
Yeah, but so that like go through all of the performances, they opened up the voting, and this year they had it all as online voting. And they did not test for server slam.
Which just me as a software engineer, anytime I hear we're doing online voting, I just tense up and I get so afraid.
Yeah, and they were not prepared, which is, from the software engineering standpoint, yes, I understand that it's like you can't prepare for everything. At the same time, there have been technical issues every single week of this process, and a lot of it having to do with server slam and the live stream. So this should not have been a surprise. And
this is an issue.
Yeah, and that there weren't stopgap measures in place is just really kind of baffling to me.
And also, like, they've been highlighting notable moments in MGP history every single week. And the one that they highlighted week one that I found hilarious in the context of Saturday was week one. They talked about the time that there were so many calls into the televote the first time they did that it broke.
Okay.
Yeah. And we were all laughing then, but who's laughing now?
Oh, geez. So, yeah, I was switching back and forth from Norway to all the other things that were happening because, as you might have guessed, as each week went by, I'm kind of over Norway this year. But like, gets to the results, and they have like all 10 acts come out on stage, and they're announcing who advances. And the 4 acts that advance are Elrique, Rayleigh, which, okay, that one makes sense.
That one did have the most streams going into it.
Yeah. Liza, which
competently produced.
Yeah, but also kind of controversial because of the whole like not gay, even though the song's called I Am Gay. And then Kristen.
Yeah, instead of like Rain Alexander, who I think was heavily favored for at least the final 4. Yeah,
it was just like, I'm very surprised by these results. And this is before like we knew what had happened. Yeah, so it turns out they since the televote the online vote rather was not usable, they went to their plan B, which was to go to a demoscopic panel, which had convened on Friday night. And it was like 30 or so people who voted on their favorites based on the studio tracks.
Which, what?
That, yeah.
You're telling me that there wasn't like a like, you should be watching the live performance. That's an important component of this.
Yeah. Or like failing that, all of these songs were performed on television on this show. You could have thrown together a supercut in the running order of the live show and based it on those performances instead. A song like Ring and Alexander's, where it's not a great song, but the performance elevated it. And that's kind of the point of Eurovision. And
yeah,
and if you're just basing it off of these studio tracks, it's like, wow, that is just so pointless. And and a number of the artists who were participating on social media were expressing their extreme disappointment in the way that this was handled, and rightly so.
And like, honestly, yeah, like, I would be super pissed if the backup plan wasn't reviewing the full performance, was just reviewing the song.
Yeah. And with like Emil and Diedrich, that one's going to be kind of weird because like their performance had changed so much from the first time that we saw it performed. But like everybody else, it was more or less the same, maybe a couple of extra dancers here, a different camera choice there. But basing it off of the audio is just so not Eurovision. And like there was a video of Akuvi responding to the news where she's just talking about like I'm really disappointed, particularly for like my dancers who worked incredibly hard on this, and none of it mattered because she was one of the auto qualifiers. So like there's no feedback mechanisms like, oh, do I have an audience for this? Like, were people into this? And
and like looking at the results, like the top four, only one of those pre-qualifiers made the final four.
Yeah. So I don't know, just such a mess. And then like it goes into another round of voting, this time
which thankfully was working, but is like, did they announce how did they use duels again for the second round?
So for this, so once they cut it down to 4, it just went to another round of voting on those 4 acts only. And then the 2 with the most votes after that round had another duel. So it came down to Elrike and Kristen, which again, it's just like, that's a surprising outcome, but I guess of those 4 choices, the correct 2, I don't like.
If I had to pick from that group of 4, that would probably be the 2 I'd pick.
Yeah. Although I'm still kind of surprised, like it wasn't really an Elrike, but sure.
Yeah, sure. I guess at this point.
Yeah. So then they had the vote, and then maybe I shouldn't be surprised because Kristen was leading going into the. They had it broken down into the 5 regions of Norway, and after first 4 regions, Kristen had what seemed like an insurmountable lead. And then, like, Elrike stormed was it the central version or the central division or the west division? That part doesn't matter, but it just was overwhelming support for attention. So attention will be the one going to Eurovision. And I think that's the thing that's the most annoying part about this. I think that is the correct choice for Norway.
Is that we got to the correct place, but in like the most stressful manner.
Yeah. And like the most embarrassing manner. Like,
oh yeah, totally. And like watching the Norwegian final after the fact in my case, because I was watching a couple other things.
Mm-hmm.
It reminded me most closely of, so my sister is a fashion designer, and it reminded me of going to see her student show, because there were a lot of acts where it felt like they had done the assignment but hadn't necessarily thought of sort of the larger outcome of yes, I'm going on to Eurovision.
Mm-hmm.
And there were like a handful where it's like, okay, they understand the assignment, they understand like the larger picture, and like I think it was probably of like just thinking through. Like, Ulrike had, like, the full package. Like, the first time she performed that at the finals, like, yes, this needs, like, a few tweaks and, like, a rain of sparks at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that is, like, ready to go, has thought through the assignment, and is the choice.
I think the worst part about this is Jan Olesand was there, partly because, like, Norway is his home, and that's it was like it was his homecoming, and just to have this be part of that presentation, be like, oh, how embarrassing for you.
Just like, welcome back, Jan Olesand, we need you so badly.
Yes, oh man, but
something tells me we will not be doing the same process next year.
Oh, I hope not. No, I think this
is
really damaged Norway's brand And
yeah, like MGP probably needs a rethink. Like, I wouldn't mind them doing like a smaller round of semifinals. I think the concept of that was good, but I think overall this was just such a kerfuffle.
Yeah, and just so many avoidable problems, and they need to really reconsider the tech aspects of this for next year, because man, oh man, what a mess.
Yeah, just like instead of like an online vote, just like paper ballots, optical scanners for everyone. Just go to your local polling place, and we will deliver the results in like 24 hours.
Yes. Oh man, could you imagine? All right. Was Sweden any better this week?
This was a great week to prioritize Norway over Sweden. Just that's what I did. Mostly, I was seeing the tweets on Saturday, and everybody was just like, "Norway is a complete tire fire." And like, I was like, "Well, it's their final. They're picking one thing. I can go back to Sweden later, and it'll be fine." And I went back to Sweden later, and it was fine.
Okay, good.
One thing that was kind of cool about this round is that just based on the 7 entries this week, something that was in Swedish was guaranteed to get through to at least the Andershansen round.
All right.
There were like 4 or 5 entries that were mostly in Swedish. I had just sort of loose picks going. I'm stopping myself from reading the lyrics when they're released every week because it's never good.
Okay.
Just reading the lyrics of a pop song when you haven't heard it is never a good first attack. I've stopped listening to the 30-second snippets just so I can go in and be surprised.
Okay.
Just looking at the lineup for this Saturday, I was like, okay, if I had to guess, I'm going to guess that Mariette's going to go through to the final, and probably Mahomeby, just because they've been there, they do good work.
Yes.
That was absolutely correct. Mariette is through to the final, which this isn't my favorite song of hers. I think both of her last 2 entries that she's had at Melfest have been stronger.
Okay.
But it's great to see her there. Mahomeby, I think he borrowed like Armenia's staging from a couple years ago, just when they had their garage sale. But the song is fine. It's not my favorite at this point, but it was a good one to go through for this week. Again, this felt like a good week to just sort of not prioritize Sweden. In what's going on to Andershansen, Drangarna, which appears to be this year's dance band entry.
Okay.
That one's an interesting one because the song feels very Irish. Like specifically like the Epcot Ireland Pavilion.
Okay.
This would be playing at the pub there. And it was real weird because it was in Swedish. It was just like a bunch of cognitive dissonance.
All right.
Watching as an American. And then Anis Don Demina, who had a song last year. And so I had mentally been thinking that in the entry last year, Anis Don Demina was the singer and not the rapper. And I was surprised to learn that it was the rapper.
Aha.
And that's on me. That's on me for not Googling. But anyways, I thought that song probably should have come in 5th. And Faith Kakembo should have gone through because I thought her song was stronger and was more interesting. Anis Don Demina's song was fun, and that's an important quality, I think.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I see it getting to the final.
Okay.
We have another semifinal this week, then we have Andershansen, and then we have the final. There's so much.
Wow, that's coming up quick.
Looking ahead to this week, the big names, I think, from this batch, Victor Krohn, who was Estonia's entry last year. Hannah Ferm is currently up there with the bookies, along with all the other ladies.
Woo!
For her song Brave, and she had the duet last year that I thought could have done numbers, but didn't.
Right.
And then another one that's intriguing me, and I'm just not sure if it's actual intrigue or just fear, is there's a song called Carpool Karaoke. Yeah, and I already tire of James Corden here.
Yeah.
So please don't reference him in the song Sweden.
I mean, are we sure that Nana Grunwald isn't like a Swedish alias of his?
You know what? I should have anagrammed this beforehand.
Yeah. I think we're in the clear. I feel like he probably would have mentioned it.
Anyways, things to look forward to in Sweden this weekend. The reason I wasn't prioritizing Sweden is that Lithuania was happening. Iceland was also happening. Like, that was why I was double screening. Was Lithuania was super exciting this year. Iceland is also. I was a little thrown off by last week because like it was mostly pop stuff with like a couple outliers, and the outliers went through, which pleased me, even if one of the outliers wasn't my thing. This week felt like a bunch of outliers and like a few pop things that didn't go through.
All right.
This week and last week, I've had like a feeling of like, okay, this is about the time of year where like I find a national final act and get way too obsessed with it. because it's still national final season. We don't know if it's going to go through.
Right.
I was like, it's really weird that hasn't happened this year. Maybe it's just an off year. Maybe it's just a weird batch. And then it happened. It happened as soon as they were doing like the camera shots of like the B-roll footage of like, here's the artists that are performing this week.
Mm-hmm.
Dathi and Gagnamathnid's swivel and like hair swoop was just on point. Like it's like in the first 3 minutes of the program. Like I searched Giphy looking for something just to have that, and it's not there, and I don't know how to make it with the Roov player. But it was just majestic, and then the song started, and the song is amazing. Like the song is exactly what I want out of an Icelandic entry. It is the type of poptronica that is my bread and butter. The only way I can describe the song, it's as though a noni of Anthony Johnson's was singing over a beat that was threatening at any moment to become Gloria Estefan and the Miami Sound Machine's conga.
Okay.
But it works. It works, and there is just group choreography, and everybody is wearing jumpsuits with their face in like 8-bit pixelation on it, and it's just delightful, and it's so out there, and I want it to win so badly, and I'm very afraid it won't. He was in the running in 2017 when Svala's Paper won, and it was a very close final, and like the crowd was going crazy.
Yeah, and like it was just such a fun performance, particularly with the what's that Nintendo Switch like cardboard box
Kubo? Yeah.
Like it looked like the instruments were kind of that style, and then like so versatile, and like it's like, oh, it's like a saxophone, guitar, I don't know.
It's a saxophone, it's a guitar, it's a saxophone and a guitar and a drum machine. It's just, there was a moment where I'm like, oh, everybody's moving to the left, and then there was a second microphone waiting for everybody. And I was just like, yes, this has my full heart. Apologies to everyone. Also, I have found out that I missed both of their sets at Iceland Airways last year, so I'm already retroactively mad at myself.
Oh no.
And like I'm just at like the whole hog point I was when we first saw Hatari last year, where it's just like, well, this is part of me now. Where it's just like, if they win, like I would absolutely make a sweatshirt.
Nice.
I would absolutely make a sweatshirt to bring to the arena.
Excellent.
Anyways, enough talking about that, because we can talk about them again in 2 weeks. But I have added all of their stuff to my Spotify.
Oh, wow.
We are at full down the rabbit hole Hatari all over again status. I'm so happy that it's finally happened, because I've been waiting to figure out which act this year is the one that I'm going to get way too into. And it's that one.
And it's still early. Like we still got all of the Balkans. So yeah.
The other entry that went through was a fave of the internet, or at least when I was looking at tweets to see who people were excited about in the Songvakeppnin lineup, because I went in blind. Which I think is partially why I was so delighted. But Oculus Videre is also through. I get why the internet is into it. Like, it's different. It's not your standard pop song. For lack of a better term, it's kind of Game of Thronesy.
Oh, okay.
Like it's got like a weird kind of almost Gregorian chant choral aspect to it that I can see having a lot of drama. But the actual performance kind of needed a zhuzh. Okay. Like, it needed like something else, because they were doing a lot. But the singer of the song is just kind of standing there for the full 3 minutes, and they're not quite doing enough with the camera and stuff around them to kind of balance that out. Because it's fine if you don't have a ton of stage presence and you just want to sing the song,
right?
But like, again, I see why the internet likes it, but I'm also just like, please just send the weird indie tronica thing, please.
I think with Iceland, there's a very good shot of that happening. So
there's a very good shot of that happening, and it would be such a nice balance of giving us like a third viral dance move, because like we already have the Samantha Tina like hands at the hips and I'm a little teapotting, for lack of a better word. We have the Roop dance, which Lithuania is already on the branding for that. They already have a video online. Like, that's just going back to like them potentially taking it.
Right.
I think that's why they are building the ground movement now.
Yeah. If Eurovision just turns into one giant dance battle, I am so excited for that to happen.
But yeah, and like the Iceland moves, like those feel very simple. Those feel like something that the crowd is going to like.
Yeah. It's just like kickball change to the left, kickball change to the right. Yeah. So
exactly. Anyways, so those are the two entries going through this week, and then the producers, I think they just always pick a wild card from what else didn't go through. And I figured it was gonna be something from week one, because I thought that all three of the entries that didn't go through had their own charms. This week, the other stuff, there were a couple different ballads, one of which I really like, the Dramer I think. Like, it was Matty Matt, which he had a decent ballad that I thought was a candidate. I thought anything from week 1 could have been, that didn't go through already, could have been a candidate. But no, it was like the okay pop song from this week, Echo.
Huh.
And like it felt like a fully realized performance, but it doesn't excite me as much as some of the other stuff Iceland has in the mix.
Yeah. Well, maybe they just wanted to have some contrast to
maybe
what else is in the field.
That could be.
Yeah.
Just like some good diversity. I can see that working.
Yeah.
Anyways, everything has a couple weeks to kind of figure out their new performances, and the final will be February 29th at the Valshollen. So it will be a bigger venue.
All right. That was a very full Saturday.
Yeah.
And there were still some other songs that trickled out since then. On Sunday, France released their song for Tom Leeb. It is the song The Best in Me.
You are in every breath I breathe, forever eternally. You are the best in me.
And as you might have guessed, it's a Thomas Gieson, John Lundvik love child, for lack of a better description.
And don't discount the other co-writer. It's the team that wrote Euphoria plus John Lundvik, and it sounds like it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't find Euphoria to be this boring. I know I've had problems with Euphoria, but like boredom was not one of them.
It grows on me every time I listen to it, which I think is good.
Oh, all right.
But the first thing I heard of it was when like the 30 seconds leaked, and the 30 seconds that leaked were all in English. I was like, oh, that's a bold move for France.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thankfully there is some French in there, but yeah, like this song it's fine. It's very simple. Like when I hear the song, I have two different trains of thought, and they kind of go together, which is one, this absolutely sounds like a song that John Lundvik wrote, to the point that like I would like to hear him singing it instead. Like he's very good at writing songs for his voice, and I feel like whenever he's written songs for the Big Five, it sounds like songs that he should be singing instead.
Yeah, it's just, to me, this one, it just seems like he's just kind of like at the piano playing around with stuff and just being like, all right, I've got this idea, and like it's still gestating, and it just doesn't go anywhere for me.
It doesn't go anywhere, and like just lyrically and melodically, it just sounds like it should be soundtracking the Zales Mother's Day sale jewelry ad.
Yeah.
You were the best in me. Happy Mother's Day.
See, I was thinking like a Folgers commercial, like the one where like the kid comes home to visit his parents or something. But yeah, like there is the commercial appeal, but yeah, it is much more in the jingle aspect than.
Yeah, it's very jingly, and just like structurally, it feels like singing a thing in French, singing the same thing but in English, singing a thing in French, singing the same thing but in English, and then 3 minutes is up. I thought that the premiere they gave it was very impressive and very lovely, and just like all of those cool drone shots.
Yeah, it was really well shot. For me, it's like Tom Leeb, like he does write songs, so I was kind of hoping that he would be involved in the songwriting process for this. Yeah. And instead, it's just like, oh, well, no, they picked the song and then like found someone's whose voice would match. And
I don't know why France would do that, though, because if you look at the scoreboards from like the last couple years, the songs that win are written by the artist.
Yeah.
The songs that do well are songs that are written by the artist, and the songs that are a weird marriage of a song that was pre-written and a singer that you hope will work for it finish near the bottom.
I don't know if like France has a long game in plan, like if they just don't really want it this year, but still they need to bring a bottle of wine to the party, but like they're not going to bring their best bottle of wine, but they should bring something nicer than like $2 Chuck, you know? So but
yeah, like it's nice, and again it's been growing on me, but on the other hand, by the end of it, I'm just like, this is fine.
Yeah, but and maybe that's the secret sauce. Maybe it's like it's February now, this time in May we may be all gaga for it. I don't think that's going to be the case, but it may be better received than it is initially. Good luck, France.
C'est la vie.
Yeah.
I was about to try and do an awkward segue about French-speaking nations because Belgium announced their song today. Well, they released the song and then its official video today. Yesterday, they were hinting at the title, and they confirmed for us that the first word was 7 letters and the second word was 2 letters. Which, me being someone who regularly runs into things during puzzles where I need specific patterns of words, I knew exactly what tool to turn to. I turned to One Look, which is great because you can essentially give it that pattern and go, okay, sort phrases by commonness and let me know what my options are for what this might be titled. Amongst the options that I thought were more intriguing than just things like bottoms up. Bottoms up would have worked.
Wow, that's a title.
Yeah. It's fun. It can be about drinking. It can be about other things. But no, other things in the list, reality TV. And I'm just knowing that it was Hooverphonic, and I'm like, Hooverphonic probably has opinions about reality TV. Vatican II, they might have had opinions about that. Vitamin B1 could have been really into that for their song.
It's having a moment this year. I think Ukraine, one of Ukraine's finalists references. Oh, wait, no, that's Vitamin B12. Sorry. I'm not joking about that either. So
you can't fit that in there, yeah. Anyways, lots of options available, but what it was, and I was very certain that the second word was going to be up. But as it turns out, I'm incorrect because Release Me was released today.
Only trouble steals the show. All those words won't comfort me. It's clear we are not meant to be. Release me from this sad and losing game.
What did you think of this one, Mike?
I think this is one that I'm going to have to sit with for a little bit.
Okay.
I think it's a good choice for Belgium in the sense that, since these are experienced performers, they won't have the deer in the headlights issue that they've had the last few years with their performers who are a little bit newer to the stage. That wasn't so much a problem with Scenic, but Elliot and Blanche did seem kind of terrified once the music got started on their respective Eurovision stages. So I don't think that's going to be a problem. I still think the song is kind of Belgium's melancholy brand.
Belgium has definitely had a vibe in the last few years, and this is entirely in line with that vibe.
Yeah, and it's something that I like. It kind of reminds me a little bit of this time last year. I went to go see 10,000 Maniacs at a city winery in Chicago, and it was a really nice concert, but it was for a very specific age group. And it just seems kind of outside of the Eurovision norm. So I'm just kind of wondering what the widespread appeal is going to be. It feels very college radio of the 90s. And that is definitely my jam. So I don't object to that, but looking at the grand scheme of things, it's that's an interesting approach to take, and I'm curious to see how that plays out. What do you think of the track?
I was trying to pin down what it reminded me of, and there were a lot of different things. Thinking about when we knew that Hooverphonic was the Belgian artist last year, and we were kind of talking about what their sound was like. And this it's nice that it kind of ties in with their, I think probably one of their better known songs, "Mad About You." I can hear a little bit of that in there. As far as Eurovision, melody-wise, there are bits of it that remind me of Lena's "Taken by a Stranger." Her song after she won.
Yeah.
There's a smoothness there.
Yeah.
And then also a little bit of, I think it's mostly just the strings, "Rise Like a Phoenix." There's a feeling of it being a Bond theme to me.
Huh.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Part of it might also be is that last week, Billie Eilish's Bond theme got released,
right?
And it kind of reminds me of that too.
Okay. Huh.
The studio version is fine. One thing I would love is, and I think probably needs to happen for it, is in the last 30 seconds there's this great bit where it feels like you could really throw some vocal power behind it. And I think I kind of want to sit with this one and see where I stand with it when we come back to these songs later this spring.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think overall, like with the way that the field has been shaping up for the most part, where it feels like countries are trying to not send like Eurovision entries. They're trying to send songs. And
which is good.
Yeah. And I think this is of the like trying to send songs group. I just don't know why I'm so resistant to it, because I'm loving it from all of the other countries that are doing it. And it's just like, I don't know. I think maybe I was just expecting something different, and then this didn't match up with whatever that expectation was. And I don't even know what that expectation was. And so that's
I was hoping for something
a
little bit more on the up-tempo side of Hooverphonic's output. But I think I think for whatever reason, I want like an up-tempo Eurovision winner this year.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I think up-tempo or, I don't know, mood, but in like mood towards a party instead of mood towards I just want to be with my emotions is where I want to be.
And like that is reminding me, like another thing that this reminded me of lyrically, just listening to the words, like felt very in line with Arcade. Like it almost felt like a different perspective on Arcade.
Yes.
Just like this is a different part of the Rashomon for Arcade. But yeah, like Belgium wants to do well. Like their neighbors are throwing a party. They want to bring something nice.
Yeah.
And I think this fits the bill. I'm not sure this is the special sauce that will win them a thing.
Right. But if it gets them into the final, which they haven't been able to do,
they haven't done recently.
Yeah.
They just want to like not embarrass themselves in front of company.
Yes. So I think they're okay. But yeah, this is something where it's like, all right, let's see what the full field looks like and how it compares. But
exactly.
I don't hate it. Like I think that's where I'm landing. It's like I don't hate the song, but it doesn't quite feel like the winner yet. Like, you know, there's just that like resonance that I want. So the last major selection thing that happened this week, Romania announced who their artist is going to be. It's going to be Roxanne. She was featured on the track You Don't Love Me last summer, which was a song that charted in Romania and Bulgaria. And according to one article that I've read, got some airplay in the US. So cool. Her style...
Citation needed.
Yes. And I tried to find that citation and I could not. So I don't know. Maybe it's just like one really cool kids college radio show.
Just like airplay in the US. Yeah, it's like, as someone who has previously had an online radio show that had listenership in the tens,
yes,
if that, was just like, okay, so like someone played it out a window.
Yeah. Hey, that's all it takes. That is the definition of broadcasting, just like screaming it from the rooftops. Her style's kind of in the like deep house realm. Again, with the citations needed, comparisons to Dua Lipa, which from what I've heard, I'm not quite hearing that. And then Billie Eilish, which I am hearing in the couple of tracks that I've heard. And
okay. Well, yeah, like if you're citing those two, those are very opposite ends of the pop spectrum. So that's a very interesting way to compare yourself.
Yeah, but I mean, like if you're going to combine two, I think Dua Lipa and Billie Eilish are a good combination. Like, I don't know. I like them both.
Same.
But we will hear the songs that are going to be up for consideration and that the public is actually going to vote on. Those will be coming out on Friday. So yeah, some more music to look forward to. Also coming up this weekend, Portugal will begin their Festival de Cancao. It's pretty much the same process they've used forever, maybe. It's 16 songs total, split between two semifinals. So each semifinal will have 8 songs. And the songs that will advance out of those semifinals, it'll be 50% regional juries and 50% televote, which will just determine those finalists. It'll be 4 from each semifinal, so 8 songs will be in the grand final. And yeah, it's a pretty eclectic field this year. Like they've really been stretching their musical tastes in the selection process. I found in the last couple of years.
I was just thinking about what they've sent the last couple of years. It's felt very broad in terms of style.
And 14 of the songs were selected by producer invitation. So the festival, they invite composers to create entries, and then the composers are responsible for finding the artists to perform the entries and pretty wide range there. And then there was one song that was selected through a radio show called Masterclass. And then there was one that was just sort of an open submission call. Like if you had a song and you wanted it to be in the festival, send it in. And one of those songs got through. So that one should be a interesting process because, I mean, as we all know, Portugal follows their own drum beat. The full field is available on Spotify right now. We've got a link to the playlist on our profile. So definitely check them out. There's some bangers in there.
Yeah, also happening this weekend, Slovenia is having their final,
Yay.
Which earlier in the year they had the EMA Fresh competition, which determined a couple of those acts. And then there are 12 songs overall, so the 2 that were selected through EMA Fresh, and then 10 selected from submissions that got through. At the live show, a 3-member jury will pick 2 songs to move to the super final, and then the public will vote on those. And that's an interesting way to do that, but hey, that's Slovenia.
Yeah. And it seems to be working for them. They've had a pretty good qualifying record the last few years.
They have. Well, yeah, looking at the contestant lineup, there are some notable names. Saska and Parvani Violet are the EMA Fresh winners. Inmate competed last year. Tinkara Kovac represented Slovenia in 2014. Bozidar Wolfland Wolf was a backing singer back in 1984 for Yugoslavia.
Oh, I remember those guys.
Yeah, I definitely don't.
Yeah.
I
meant Yugoslavia. I don't know anything about Bozidar Wolf.
And then Lena Kudzovic finished 3rd at Junior Eurovision in 2015.
Oh, yeah, that's the same year that Destiny was there. So that could be an interesting reunion.
More friends.
Yeah. Oh, it's just going to be the whole contest is just going to be a rehash of Junior Eurovision.
Just like a fun high school reunion, but for Junior Eurovision.
Yeah.
To that 2015.
Oh man, does this mean we're going to have to start watching Junior Eurovision so that we'll know what Eurovision like 3 years from now is going to look like? Or
I choose to be surprised.
I like that strategy. So, I am looking forward to the Slovenian final. I'm also looking forward to Ukraine's final. VidBir will be wrapping up on Saturday. This past Saturday they had their second semifinal, and yeah, it's gonna be an interesting field.
As someone who has not been watching Ukraine, how many hours of content am I in for, and who are the acts to watch?
Oh goodness. I think they've broken out the individual performances into individual videos on YouTube, so you don't have to watch the full 3.5-hour shows each time. So you're welcome, I guess. But the winner of the first semifinal was Krut, and she has the highest televote percentage going into the final, although that's kind of an apples and oranges thing with like each semifinal just having their own pool of people voting. The winner of the second semifinal was Tvorchi with the song Bonfire, and I think either one of those choices would be a solid one for Ukraine. Krut Song 99 features her playing this sort of harp-like instrument, and she just has a really beautiful voice, and like, the instrument's just really cool to look at, and the song's fairly catchy. It's I would not describe it as a bop. It's not that style of song, but yeah, it feels very on brand for Ukraine. And then Tvorchi's track kind of has like a dark dance element to it, and I think either one of those would be a good choice. The one that I think is going to be the fun performance to watch on Saturday is Jerry Heil's Vegan. There was a lot of dancing fruit in her first performance, and I'm hoping that this second time around, now that maybe with a little bit more stage confidence under her belt, it could be really big and really fun. Like it was almost there during the semifinal, and it's just like, oh, just a little bit bigger. I just wanted it to be a little bit bigger. So, and I don't expect there to be a tremendous amount of controversy this time around, but I think I say that every year with Ukraine and then get blindsided by something. And yeah, it should be wonderful. I don't expect them to like self-disqualify or anything. So.
This is the year that there will be no drama from Ukraine.
Yeah, maybe that is the secret sauce. But yeah, we
say that, but this time Crimea is Ukraine.
Oh yeah, Jamala will also be there to perform during the interval. So
do not allow her to secretly join the judging panel again.
Even though it is only 6 songs, it will still probably be a 3.5-hour show because they like go into very heavy critique after each performance. Like they will get into art direction, they will get into everything. So yeah, and then there's like the voting and stuff that will have to happen. But yeah, it'll be a good one to check in on among all of the other things that are on Saturday.
Also happening this weekend, Poland is having their final. Poland has been doing their process during the afternoon in Poland, which means it's been during the morning in America. So I have not been as attuned to what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Same.
Although, in fairness, it feels like Poland is trying to figure out what it's doing the last few years and figuring out what works for its process.
Mm-hmm.
They filmed like the first part weeks ago, where each group of singers had like a theme night. Advancing from the semis, we have Kasia Duren, Alicia Szemplinska, and then Albert Cerny, who is Lake Malawi. You know Lake Malawi from the Czech Republic, as they so proudly stated during the Eurovision last year.
Yeah, well, you know, there was an article that went around this week about how they like had to change the rules so that you did not have to be a Polish citizen to participate. And I don't know why that was being presented this week as if it were news, because it's just like, well, like as you said, this was recorded a few weeks ago. They knew what they were doing.
Weeks ago,
yeah.
Yeah. You guys could just been real quiet about that and just like it felt like the wrong time to release that news if it was going to be news. Just was like, okay, do you guys? So as soon as that came out, I'm like, so does the Lake Malawi guy win? And it turns out yes.
Yeah.
And now we've made sure that that's not a problem for the finals.
Yeah. Yeah. It just seems very odd how that whole thing was handled, but
it feels very weird. For the final, each of those three acts will be performing a cover and an original song, and the original song is presumably their Eurovision song, so that'll happen. And then we will have a Polish winner. And it might be Lake Malawi or Albert from Lake Malawi.
Yeah.
I'm still very confused on if the band is him or if the band is him plus the other two guys.
It's him and the other two guys. So I think that's where we landed last year. So, because for a while there, I thought his name was actually Lake Malawi, not realizing that Lake Malawi is... where in Africa is it? It's it's probably near the country of Malawi.
Probably geography was never my strong suit.
Okay. We should probably get out of here before I say something that's really embarrassing. Yeah, I think that's going to do it for this episode of the Euro What. Thanks for listening. The Euro What podcast is hosted by Mike McComb, that's me, and Ben Smith.
That's me.
You can find us on our website at eurowhat.com and on Twitter and Instagram at Eurowhat. We'd love to hear your comments, questions, and topics we should talk about in future episodes. You can subscribe to the Eurowhat on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the podcast app of your choice. Be sure to check out our Spotify playlist inspired by this episode. We'll be back next week to try to make sense of what's new in Eurovision.